Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call this meeting of the Harrisonville Board of Aldermen to order. If you would stand and recite the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. President, call please.
Alderman Zaring.
Present.
Alderman Reese.
Present.
Alderman Davidson.
Present.
Alderman Dorhoff.
Present.
Alderman Miller.
Present.
Alderman Turner.
Present.
Alderman Dickerson.
Here.
Alderman Milner.
Present.
Mayor Bowman.
Present. Thank you. We do have a quorum. Under ceremonial matters this evening,
She said she can't hear it.
Alderman Reese is attending remotely, so our IT director will get her situated here and then we'll proceed.
Lean back to the microphone, face more towards the speaker.
Exactly through the end.
Okay.
Okay. Can you hear me, Alderwoman Reese? Barely.
We're gonna have to be pretty loud because it's trying to pick up all the speakers.
Is that better? Is that better?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to ask the alderman then to actually put your microphones before you like I'm doing so that Alderwoman Reese can hear us. All right, ceremonial matters. We have recognition tonight for Judge Kevin Anderson and Prosecutor Joe Cambiano. They have been the municipal officers of our courts since the early 1990s. And we have awards for each of them, but either one of them was able to join us this evening. So this is an example of the plaque that's going to Judge Anderson and to Prosecutor Cambiano. And it says, in appreciation of your outstanding dedication and contributions to the success of the city of Harrisonville, the Harrisonville Board of Aldermen, and Judy Bowman, Mayor. So we want to congratulate Judge Anderson and Prosecutor Cambiano and thank them for their many years of service to the city of Harrisonville. We'll move on to public participation. Mr. Ratliff, did you have any agenda request forms from the public this week?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to say something.
I'm sorry. I don't believe we had any agenda request forms received, and those are the only people that are allowed to speak this evening.
Mrs. Reese told me if I showed up, I could talk.
I'm sorry.
I'd like to hear it.
I'm sorry, ma'am. The agenda says clearly that you have to submit an agenda request form in order to speak. Thank you.
What a deal.
We'll move on to approval of the minutes. And I would ask anyone in attendance to please silence your cell phones at this time if you haven't already done so. The approval of the Board of Aldermen regular meeting, October 5th. I entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. A motion from Alderman Milner with a second from Alderman Turner. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Those minutes stand approved. The minutes of the executive session, which you had at your desk this evening, October 5th, 2020. I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion from Alderman Davidson with a second from Alderman Zaring. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Those minutes stand approved. Moving on to the agenda items. Council Bill 66.
Council Bill 66, a resolution of the Board of Aldermen of the City of Harrisonville, Missouri to appoint Don Labrasso as municipal judge for the Harrisonville Municipal Court in the 17th Judicial Circuit Court.
Thank you. Mr. Ratliff, do you want to talk about the prosecutor, or do you want me to proceed with the judge? Okay. All right. So Judge Labrasso is with us in the audience this evening, and he has introduced himself to all of the aldermen and to several of the department heads. He comes to us with a very long and lengthy residue of municipal service. And so I am bringing my appointment to you of Don LaGrasso as municipal judge for the Harrisonville Municipal Court in the 17th Judicial Circuit Court. I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion from Alderman Dorhoff with a second from Alderman Davidson. Roll call, please.
Alderman Zarin.
Aye.
Alderman Reese.
Aye.
Alderman Davidson.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Dorhoff.
Aye.
Alderman Miller.
Aye.
Alderman Milner.
Aye.
Alderman Dickerson.
Nay.
Thank you. Council Bill 66 becomes Resolution 037. And now, Mr. Ratliff, if you'd like to introduce the new prosecutor. Mr. LaGrasso, you want to stand so everyone can see you? I think you've met everybody this evening, but slip your mask off just a second so we can.
Sure.
There you go. I knew you were smiling behind that mask.
You're not posting that, are you?
Thank you. We certainly welcome you to the city of Harrisonville.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Mr. Ratliff.
Sarah Carnes, you stand up here in the back, and she will be our new City of Harrisonville prosecutor. Sarah, as you can see, the resume that she has, and she works with a lot of our municipal group, and we're looking forward to having her on board. She's already met with some of the department heads and getting ready to get in action. So we're glad to have Sarah with us tonight.
Thank you, Sarah. Welcome to Harrisonville. So Prosecutor Carnes and Judge LaGrasso will both be assuming their duties as of November 1st. So we welcome you. Thank you again. Council Bill 67.
Council Bill 67, an ordinance of the Board of Aldermen of the City of Harrisonville, Missouri to appoint Daniel Barnett as City Clerk for the City of Harrisonville, Missouri.
Mr. Ratliff.
As you're all seeing in your packet, Randy Jones will be leaving us, and he decided to run for office. And the competition was so scared of him, nobody ran against him. And so he will be moving to that position at the county. Daniel has already started working, as you all know, as the deputy clerk and also doing the PIO. And you see from his resume, being a long life Harrisonville resident and already understanding a lot of the duties of the job, we felt it would be good to place him into that position. Okay, my mic's. So unless the board has any questions for Daniel, staff recommends him.
And Daniel is the one who's usually behind the mic, and he's over there now. You can just wave to everybody so everybody can see you. I just can't tell the board how impressed I've been with the quality and the commitment to excellence that I've seen out of Daniel Barnett in his work with us as PIO and Deputy City Clerk. And I'm very, very much supportive in him becoming our city clerk. We'll miss Randy Jones, but we know that the Public Administrator's Office will be in good hands. So this is an ordinance, so I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion we suspend the rules to the second reading. Second.
I have a motion from Alderman Turner with a second from Alderman Dorhoff to suspend the rule and advance Council Bill 67 to a second reading. Roll call, please.
Alderman Dorhoff. Alderman Dorhoff.
Aye.
Alderman Miller.
Aye.
Alderman Milner.
Aye.
Alderman Dickerson.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Zarin.
Aye.
Alderman Reese.
Aye.
Alderman Davidson.
Aye.
And second reading.
Council Bill 67, an ordinance of the Board of Aldermen of the City of Harrisonville, Missouri to appoint Daniel Barnett as City Clerk for the City of Harrisonville, Missouri.
Roll call.
Alderman Milner.
Aye.
Alderman Dickerson.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Davidson.
Aye.
Alderman Reese.
Aye.
Alderman Zarin.
Aye.
Alderman Miller.
Aye.
And Alderman Dorhoff.
Aye.
Thank you. Council Bill 67 becomes ordinance 3515. Council Bill 68.
An ordinance of the Harrisonville Board of Aldermen authorizing the city administrator to enter into a municipal agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission and establishing an effective date.
Mr. Brooks. Good evening.
Good evening. Madam Mayor and Board of Aldermen. I don't believe I'm supposed to be talking about this one. I'm supposed to be talking about the next one.
I think Ted's on this one.
Okay, so sorry.
It's
I saw you walk
Ted
toward
didn't
the
call
podium.
I was gonna let him do it.
Go ahead, Mr. Martin, welcome.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members.
Pull your microphone up just a little bit there.
Tonight we have a, how about that?
That's right.
It's a shame when technology eludes your engineer. As part of the airport master plan, the next phase of improvements out there has to do with the taxiways around the airport and the taxiways in the main runway. This has been identified in the master plan that has been set forth with MoDOT and Federal Aviation Administration. We have sought and obtained a STP grant through MoDOT FAA for 90% of the funds for this job. 90% first tonight is for engineering, design, geotechnical surveying. In your packet, it has the dollars broken out. About $11,000 would be the responsibility of the city. But in addition to that, we have CARES funding. And when we have sought MoDOT's approval, and they've given us approval to use a CARES grant to offset and leverage against our $11,000 for our 10% that we have paid. So essentially, this part will cost us nothing. It'd be totally grant paid. And then a year from now, once the engineering is done, we'll be coming back to the board again for construction. And again, I hope to use some of that CARES funding if it's available to offset some of that 10% we'd have to. Any questions?
Questions? I don't know that we care if you don't know the difference between red and green when you bring us something that doesn't cost us any money.
Red and green is clear Christmas colors.
Well, if there are no questions, I would entertain a motion.
Make your wish to suspend the rules of the Council of City.
Second.
I have a motion from Alderman Turner with a second from Alderman Zaring to advance Council Bill 68 to its second reading. Roll call, please.
Alderman Dickerson.
Aye.
Alderman Milner.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Davidson.
Aye.
Alderman Zaring.
Aye.
Alderman Reese.
Aye.
Alderman Miller.
Aye.
Alderman Dorhoff.
Aye.
Second reading.
Council Bill 68, an ordinance of the Harrisonville Board of Aldermen authorizing the city administrator to enter into a municipal agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission and establishing an effective date.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Miller.
Aye.
Alderman Dorhoff.
Aye.
Alderman Reese.
Aye.
Alderman Davidson.
Aye.
Alderman Zaring.
Aye.
Alderman Milner.
Aye.
Alderman Dickerson.
Aye.
Thank you. Council Bill 68 becomes ordinance 3516. Council Bill 69.
An ordinance of the Harrisonville Board of Aldermen to authorize the mayor to execute a contract between the city of Harrisonville, Missouri and the Missouri Highway and Transportation Commission providing for an intersection study at Locust Street and Commercial Street in the city of Harrisonville.
Now, Mr. Brooks.
Thank you. I knew I wasn't supposed to talk about item number D. I thought it was better to be prepared. Okay, what we have in front of you this evening is another MoDOT grant. It's a traffic engineering assistance study grant. It's a 80-20 split. Not as good as what Ted just offered, but still a great deal. It's a $10,000 grant. When MoDOT kicks in $8,000, the city kicks in $2,000. The city submitted the grant in 2019, and the city also selected from the list of acceptable engineers from MoDOT's website a Finnish corporation to do the study. And like I said, this grant requires a 20% match, so that's $2,000 up to the maximum amount of 10,000. If the contract goes above 10,000, then the city does have to pay that 100%. MoDOT has requested in their schedule that this ordinance be executed by November 6th of 2020, and staff recommends the approval of the intersection study at Locust Street and Commercial Street, and it should be completed by the Athenis Corporation. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions for Mr. Brooks? Seeing no questions, this is an ordinance. I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion? To suspend up to the second reading.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion from Alderman Milner and a second from Alderman Davidson to suspend the rule on Council Bill 69 and advance it to a second reading. Roll call, please.
Alderman Zering.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Dickerson.
Aye.
Alderman Milner.
Aye.
Alderman Dorhoff.
Aye.
Alderman Reese.
Aye.
Alderman Miller.
Aye.
Alderman Davidson.
Aye.
Thank you. Second reading.
An ordinance of the Harrisonville Board of Aldermen to authorize the mayor to execute a contract between the city of Harrisonville, Missouri and the Missouri Highway and Transportation Commission, providing for an intersection study at Locust Street and Commercial Street in the city of Harrisonville.
Roll call.
Alderman Dickerson.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Dorhoff.
Aye.
Alderman Milner.
Aye.
Alderman Miller.
Aye.
Alderman Zering.
Aye.
Alderman Davidson.
Aye.
And Alderman Reese.
Aye.
Thank you. Council Bill 69 becomes ordinance 3517. Council Bill 70.
An ordinance of the Harrisonville Board of Aldermen to authorize the mayor to execute a contract between the city of Harrisonville, Missouri and the Missouri Highway and Transportation Commission, providing for pedestrian and traffic congestion study at Matt Street and Megan Street in the city of Harrisonville.
Mr. Brooks.
And Madam Mayor, Board of Aldermen, second verse, same as the first, basically. This is another TEAP grant that the city staff applied for in 2019. And again, it's another 80-20 grant where the city contributes $2,000 and MoDOT contributes $8,000. Again, the city staff selected Athenis Corporation to do this study. And again, MoDOT requests that this be passed by ordinance by November 6th to keep us all on schedule. And staff recommends approval of this ordinance. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions for Mr. Brooks on this council bill? Seeing no questions, I would entertain a motion for this ordinance.
Make a motion to suspend.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion from Alderman Dorhoff with a second from Alderman Davidson to advance Council Bill 70 to suspend the rule and advance Council Bill 70 to a second reading. Roll call.
Alderman Milner.
Aye.
Alderman Dickerson. Aye. Alderman Davidson.
Aye.
Alderman Reese.
Aye.
Alderman Zering.
Aye.
Alderman Dorhoff.
Aye.
Alderman Miller.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Thank you. Second reading.
An ordinance of the Harrisonville Board of Aldermen to authorize the mayor to execute a contract between the city of Harrisonville, Missouri and the Missouri Highway and Transportation Commission, providing for pedestrian and traffic congestion study at Matt Street and Megan Street in the city of Harrisonville.
Second reading. I'm sorry, roll call.
Alderman Zering.
Aye.
Alderman Milner.
Aye.
Alderman Dorhoff.
Aye.
Alderman Dickerson.
Aye.
Alderman Miller.
Aye.
Alderman Reese.
Aye.
Alderman Davidson.
Aye.
And Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Thank you. Council Bill 70 becomes ordinance 3518. Council Bill 71.
An ordinance of the Harrisonville Board of Aldermen authorizing the city of Harrisonville, Missouri, refunding and improvement certificates of participation, Series 2020, and authorizing and approving certain documents in connection with the delivery of the certificates.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Ben Hart with Baker Tilly Municipal Advisory. Thought I'd go through a couple slides that I've only got 2 or 3 of them, that'll kind of give you an overview of what the COPs are and then what we're asking you to do tonight. The The parameters ordinance actually establishes a not to exceed of $12.8 million. I'll break that down in this page right here into two different projects. There's two different tranches, if you will. The COPs of 12.245 add up to, and I'll get to the difference. Refunding of the 2012 COPs, and they were used to build this book. And they do expire in the term 2022. So they get 2 years left. And then the next one to the right is construction proceeds of the 4 projects you see there. And you should have this in front of you just so you can take it with you too. So UV treatment, south sewer plant improvements, City Lake and Lake Luna, and then regional retention basin. I believe we talked about all 4 of these in the last 2 or 3 meetings at stages, if you will. So those are the 2 basic tranches. Construction proceeds is what we call new money. This money that hadn't been out there on the market yet. The refunding is just that. It's a refunding. This is just like refinancing your house. Typically, with 2 years left on the term of the bond, we typically don't refinance. But in this case, the underwriter came to us and said, look, you're already going to market with the bigger bond. Why don't we refund this one? And I'll show you why. Jim, you want to flip the page. On the refunding itself, it's callable already because it's almost paid off. The current debt service that's left outstanding, this is principal and interest on that issue, is $1.7 million. If you refund it now, our estimation is around $1.67 million. So there's around the $28,000 benefit, if you will, on lower costs for the community center fund. To be to pay that bond off. And since we're already going to market, it's just easy to tuck it in there with very little cost of issuance. Most of the cost of issuance is going to be on the other side of the construction side. It does not increase any debt. In fact, it goes the other way. It decreases the debt on the refunding. It also does what we call releasing collateral. On a lease, just like a car loan, the bank has the lien on the car, right? Same thing for the community center. In this case, we're refunding it, we expect to pull a collateral rider off of the community center, freeing it up for other uses. So that's what we expect this one to do. It does achieve savings through not extending the expiration of the date of the debt. We're currently estimating, since there's only 2 years left, we're estimating the interest rates to be far lower than what you currently pay. Our high estimate is around 0.95. When we go ahead and we would calculate our not to exceed on the interest rates.
You said 0.95?
0.95. That's not a mistake, 0.95. We've seen some really low rates. I expect them to be lower than that, but we'll see what happens. It was 2.68. So it just kind of seems like a no-brainer since we're already here to take it through the system and drop the debt service by $15,000 a year for the next 2 years. So that'll help out. You want to flip the point?
And then, if I can inject
Yeah,
there,
go ahead.
that's still allowing the community center to be paid off in the 2 years.
That's right.
But
Yes,
we're just saving on the interest.
that's right. And that's $30,000 will go right back into the community center that can be cash paid for something else. And right now, we'll touch on it in the work session. The budget actually anticipates the not refunding these bonds, so it's going to help out. So the action tonight is to set the parameters ordinance to allow those bonds to be sold and the documents executed for the investors, and then they'll come back for approval from you guys for at the next meeting after that. So the parameters right now is $12.8 million. Now, what that 12.8, you saw 12.2 on the other one, right? Cost of issuance is around, which is largely underwriter discount, which is typical. It's around $200,000, $220,000 on a 10+ million bond issue. But we also expect premium to be around $500,000. And what that means is, if premium comes in around $500,000, we have an ability to keep that and add it to a project if we need to. Now, what this ordinance does is allow us to do that. We don't have to do that. Right now we're slated to just reduce the amount of debt. But because the premium is when the investor will pay you more money for the right to receive interest rate over time. So they'll actually pay you more than what you're asking for. If they're paying you more than what you're asking for, we typically drop the amount of debt. So instead of 12.2, we bring it down by around 500,000. So you have less debt. One of the options you have is to keep that premium and plug it into a project. One of the projects that are in that, those four. Right now, we don't have them. We don't have that head nod to be doing that, but we want to make sure you've got all of your options open at that point in time. The average life of the bonds are not going to change. They're not to exceed, in this case, it's 3.25. I know I said 0.95 will be funding on the long-term bonds, this is 20 and 30-year bonds. They'll go out, COPs, they'll go out at probably 2.5 or higher, I'd expect. This is the second week, this will be the week after the election. So I'd love to prognosticate and tell you what's going to happen right after the election. But we're probably judging a little high here on the 3.25. Typically, it's been a rocky, it's a rocky road right after an election, but this has been just a weird year for the bond market all the way around. And we're still operating at less than 1% on 10-year bonds. So who knows? But that's what this is going to do. It'll set the maximum, it'll set the interest rate as a not to exceed. And then as soon as those bonds are sold, we'll try to have the results as they come in. And when he has, we will bring the board up to speed immediately on what happens. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
What questions does the board have?
Yes, I have a question. Regarding the refund, you said a while ago, so the 1.645 will continue to be paid, and it will be paid off in 2 years. It's not going to be included or combined, it will be paid off in 2
It will be
years.
paid off in 2022. That's right. And we'll need that to happen for me to say what I'm going to say at the workshop. So that'll have to happen.
Thank you.
It's amazing. These interest rates are just absolutely amazing. I know a lot of cities are doing a lot of things because of interest rates being so low.
I sold geo bonds in the Kansas side 2 weeks ago. No, 2 weeks ago. The rates came in on 10-year bonds at 0.35 and 0.65 on the same day, within an hour apart. I love the state, the investor back.
Other questions of Mr. Hart? Mr. Ratliff?
I just wanted to add, so since we talked about this before, we talked about this on the perceived, just for the sewer side, this doesn't include water, and this is where these would be paid. And we were, by the Burns and McDonald report on an average user, it was about $2.65 a month, right? I went back and asked Burns and McDonald last week, based on the information that Vince provided, what would be the actual amount that would be out of the 265 that where those bonds would be. Of course, he said, depending on when the exact market rate comes in and everything, but they estimated that it would be around $1.80 a month that would pay for those bonds. So it could, of course, as Ben said, the number comes in even better. This is based on worst case, and the number comes in better than that $1.80 would be even less. And so that would actually be the amount. The other portion is, of course, the other capital projects that you had in the sewer side that would be cash paid projects that weren't debt service. And that's where those percentages would line out based upon that Burns and McDonald report.
I have a question.
Alderman Dickerson?
What is the city putting up?
Use your microphone, please,
Oh.
sir.
What's the city putting up for collateral?
That's a good question. Right now, we're working through with Dave Martin, who's in the audience, working with him to designate the improvements that are actually taking place on the sewer side, the UV treatment, and the south plant improvement. Those two are going to be, right now, those two are the collateral. We might be able to tuck into that the land that the regional extension basin will sit on. But those would be about the 3 pieces of collateral there.
It wouldn't be the water treatment plant?
No,
City Hall?
no, only, we typically, when we do the collateral, we typically do it with the actual project that's being funded. Otherwise, you're collateralizing something that's not really necessary.
That's some of the property we don't own, sir.
Use your microphone, please.
I got it all.
Would you just bring it, either remove your mask or bring it up to your mouth?
Some of the projects, property right now is in the project isn't owned by the city, so how do you do
Yeah,
that?
once it is owned, that collateral will be designated within the documents. It's one, that's also why we're working with Dave to work through some of those issues, just like that.
All right.
Thank you. Any other questions? Council Bill 71 is an ordinance, so I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we suspend the ruling, move Council Bill 71 to second reading.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion from Alderman Milner with a second from Alderman Dorhoff to advance Council Bill 71 to its second reading. Roll call, please.
Alderman Dorhoff. Aye. Alderman Milner.
Aye.
Alderman Dickerson.
Aye.
Alderman Miller.
No.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Zaring.
Aye.
Alderman Reese.
Aye.
Alderman Davidson.
Aye.
Thank you. Second reading.
An ordinance of the Harrisonville Board of Aldermen authorizing the city of Harrisonville, Missouri, refunding and improvement certificates of participation, Series 2020, and authorizing and approving certain documents in connection with the delivery of the certificates.
And roll call, please.
Alderman Milner.
Aye.
Alderman Dickerson.
Nay.
Alderman Turner.
Nay.
Alderman Dorhoff.
Aye.
Alderman Zaring.
Aye.
Alderman Reese.
Aye.
Alderman Davidson.
Aye.
Alderman Miller.
No.
Thank you. Council Bill 71 becomes ordinance 3519. Alderman and committee reports. I'll start with Alderman Zaring.
All right, Madam Mayor, Board. Just a couple quick things. Had to thank the city staff and all of that they do, but I wanted to do that this time around again. Again, had some electrical issues in the neighborhood that I seen reacted to quickly, and it looks like they got a really good process in place to not only fix whatever the issue is at the time, but also looking forward to making sure while they're out there that they're not going to have to come back to that particular area. So I can't say enough about them. And again, thanks to the staff that's going through a lot of things. They got a lot of things, just like we have microphones tonight. And, Jeremy's doing 3 different things at one time. I can't thank you guys enough. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Alderman Dorhoff.
I have nothing.
Alderman Reese. We're at Alderman and committee reports. Do you have anything to report?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Turner.
At the park board, we heard from a citizen who was granted authority, I guess. The tree by the basketball court, she wants to make it a hope tree. She wants to paint it, decorate it, and just be an expression of hope and stuff. And she's looking at how to get the tree secured where keep it from rotting and paint it and over the last 30 years and just be a hope tree. We talked about the problem with the outdoor pool, and we got a hole underneath the bottom of it. We're going to have to fix it and stuff. Should try to hope to be open next year to work. We're having a problem with getting lifeguards on duty. That's not availability, so we're looking at the outside company to hire lifeguards. They would do all the training, discovery, the certificates, and be a great burden, ease off our staff here. And then Mr. Martin gave a presentation on the dams and spillways and stuff, what used to happen. And then we also going to have to replace the HVAC systems here at the community center. failing and falling apart, so look at that also.
Thank you, Alderman Miller.
Well, I've got to admit, I'm very frustrated. I think y'all just made a huge mistake on Council Bill 71. This side should have been for the voters to decide, not 8 members of this board. This is a huge amount of money. It's a lot of burden on our citizens. We've already increased rates in 2019, now we're doing it again. Just don't believe it. Extremely disappointed.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Milner.
I have nothing.
Alderman Davidson.
This is one thing, did I hear that the, I think electric went to, down the south end here, 2 weeks ago? I didn't hear, I've been out of town, so I didn't know how that went, I see you're on the back, so how did that go?
You can step to the podium, that'll be fine. Everyone would like to hear from you then. This is Mr. Pollard, he's our electric superintendent.
Madam Mayor, Board of Aldermen, thank you. I went with the gentleman this time simply because I always send a supervisor with the crew when they go out of town. And Brent Stocksville was our supervisor, and he had just gotten back from an out-of-town trip for a month, so I went. And I've been on hurricanes before, dealt with them when I was in Florida and North Carolina, so it was, I was going as a benefit to the guys as best I could. When we arrived Thursday night, hurricane hit Friday. The requesting utility, which was Alexandria Utility System, brought us down the day before the hurricane. The last time we sent them the day of the hurricane, which was kind of tedious on my part as far as it made me unnerved because I had guys on the road with equipment. So this time went a lot better, a lot smoother. We were asked after 4 days working in Alexandria and getting all their customers back on, we were asked to go and work with a company called, they call it SLUMCO for short, but it's Southern Louisiana Electric Municipal Co-op. Normally municipals aren't asked to work for co-ops. This cooperative requested help from APPA, MPUA responded, a number of other joint entities also responded. They had 42,000 customers out of power when we arrived, and that was on Monday. All total, they had 110,000, which is the customer base, the entire customer base they had was out of service. Entergy had lost a transmission line, which did not allow them to energize 3 substations, which also caused for the 42,000 that were currently out on Monday. We showed up Monday when we finished working with all the joint action agencies in place. Entergy was still unable to get that line back up. They were at 30,000, so we got about 12,000 on the first day. The second day we got they were at 20,000 when we went to bed, or 19,000. We come to work the next day, it was 20,000 and a few because another line had failed during the night on them, fell out of a tree and knocked out quite a large line, knocked those customers out. We finished up work on Saturday. When we left, they had 27 customers of 110,000 customers that were currently out of power, and that was simply because they could not be served due to something on their side. I appreciate all of you that attending last week's deal for the line. They really appreciated the support, and I will offer this to all of them. We're working really hard at trying to eliminate these issues. I had 9 outages to report to Brad this morning, and of those 9 outages, 7 were squirrels. So we're working really hard, but you can't, it's against the law to kill them in city limits. So all I got to say is general public start trapping them, call me, I will come get them. I will move them to the place that I'm purchasing just outside of town. I will gladly do that. You trap them, I'll come get them. And that's not a joke, I'll do it. We now have a new mascot for the electric department. I haven't even told Brad this. While I was in, I'm an avid squirrel hunter. So while I was in Louisiana, I picked up a new squirrel dog, so she's our new mascot. And her name is Minnie. So you'll be seeing her. I'll get Daniel to come out and get some pictures of her on the bucket truck. But she's a very high-strung dog, and her main objective is to kill squirrels. So, with my help. Any questions about the actual anything else, I'll be glad to help you with. I really, really, really appreciate the opportunity to go out of town and serve those who cannot help themselves. And about 7,000 of that 110,000 customers hadn't had power since Laura hit. So now, all of those 7,000 customers, which was a big kick for us, all of those 7,000 customers now have lights. So they were not even in the 27 that were. So.
Well, that's why I asked, because I knew that, I'm sure that what you had done a lot of work down there, and obviously, who knows when that time may come, if we need to help. And so I'm sure they appreciate us going down there as we will appreciate the reciprocal somebody.
And what was really nice about it is the district office manager, we worked out of the Washington and Lafayette, Louisiana offices, and they were very, very adamant about the fact that if we had an issue here, that they would like to be called to assist us, which is really nice. And they have a multitude of personnel and equipment. So it's really admirable for the city itself. I take no kudos.
Well, thank you for your leadership.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions?
Great job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Alderman Dickerson?
Yes, I'd like to say a few words. I think we've reached a low in our board rules here when we can't hear from the people that pay the bill in this town. Public participation be open to everyone with the opinion, whatever they are, whether we agree with them or if they disagree with us, they should be heard. And I think the word transparent should be removed from anybody's conversation out here because we are not transparent. We should be able to let people discuss what they feel like about what we passed. And I think it's very bad that we're not allowing that to happen.
Thank you, Alderman. You have, let's see, reports from Mr. Ratliff. Go ahead.
We had the fall citywide cleanup and received 245 loads of various sizes on the 10th of October, collected and filled 12 dumpsters and a trash packer truck. So that's always good to be able to provide those services. The brush cleanup and the stream cleanup was held over this past weekend. And so we are always thankful to the citizens that care about the streets and collecting any of the litter and debris along the creek. Staff participated. Carl did a presentation of 2 of the projects to the Mark STP committee last Tuesday. This first year I've ever known that we did Zoom presentations, and Carl will tell you it was a little challenging, especially on time management, and to be able to know where you're at and be able to give those. They finished up the inspection on the new pumper. They plan to do delivery Wednesday or through Friday this week. And so staff are anxiously awaiting for that new pumper. And then, Dennis, are you ready? We've been advised that Aldi is going to have their architect submit their plans for a building permit within the next few days. And then the Historic Preservation Commission approved a certificate of appropriateness for Bodie's Restaurant for wall painting in the front of the building. And then due to economic situations, Cedarhurst has put their project on hold they advised us that they put it on hold during this COVID event. And they would let us know when they were moving forward. No. All on hold. They said they did a complete review of all the properties. And right now they've pulled in all of their new plans on all of the properties due to COVID. So they said we would be hearing from them again because they still have plans and hopes to do a facility here.
Is that all?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. You have the September 2020 municipal court report in your packet. Questions from the media? I have some comments I'd like to share. First of all, I want to thank Alderman Zaring for always having positive comments to offer about our staff. I know you're very, very appreciative that you make that known, and I know that staff appreciates hearing that, so thank you for that. Grant Perkey is in the room. He's sitting in the front row. Slip your mask down so we can see your smile. Thank you. I want to welcome you as our new Parks and Rec Director. Welcome, and welcome home to Harrisonville.
Thank you.
You know, most of us had the opportunity to spend some time with Mr. Perkey and to learn that he is a Harrisonville graduate, grew up here, and one of the things that he loved about the opportunity to come here as our Parks and Rec Director was that he was able to come home. So, welcome. Glad you're here.
We're very glad to have you back.
Also want to thank our staff and the dog park committee. I see Sandy Franklin in the audience. She was one of the key volunteers with the dog park committee. The grand opening and ribbon cutting for the dog park was a huge success. Lots of people, lots of kids, lots of dogs. I want to thank the park board and the dog park committee and staff. Staff really stepped up to the plate on this and got it done, got it completed. And the comment I heard the most the other evening on Tuesday was people said, I had no idea it was as big as it is. So it's a lovely thing. If you haven't been out there, please do go out and visit. Secondly, we had a busy week last week. Staff worked really hard. We also had a meeting with the Metropolitan Community Colleges who came to town and wanted to talk to us about having a presence here in Cass County. So we had about 65 people in the room, and they brought their team, and we had a great conversation with them about expanding and offering opportunities here in Cass County and hopefully specifically in Harrisonville. So I was glad to be able to host that for them. I want to address the comment that was made about the agenda request form. You know, that's part of our ordinance. How we run our meetings is by ordinance. And several months ago, this body approved changing the way we handle public participation by utilizing the agenda request form. The intent of that is that if a citizen has a request or a concern, that they can send that to the city staff and give staff the opportunity to do the necessary research so that that answer can be provided promptly to the citizen. You know, so many times when citizens would come to us, we would have to say, we'll get back to you on that. So knowing in advance what the concern is a huge help and does enable us to respond efficiently and in a transparent manner. So utilizing the agenda request form is on our webpage. It's on the agenda. And I've talked to this board before and encouraged you to encourage your constituents to make use of that. So I would encourage you again, encourage your citizens to make use of that. I want to thank the board for making the right decision tonight for the citizens of Harrisonville as far as improving infrastructure that should have been done many, many decades ago. So thank you for being concerned about the public health, safety, and welfare of citizens. And with that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Sorry. Thank you. Have a motion from Alderman Zaring with a second from Alderman Dorhoff to adjourn. I'm sorry. Was it someone else? Okay. Motion by Zaring and a second by Alderman Dorhoff. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Good night.